Let me get this light out of my face right quick. I love the light of the Lord. And don't you love it? You know. But we've been talking about Moses beginning. You see, like I was saying, people, if you're chosen, it's in the details. You're going to see how you were favored in your life before you even accepted Christ in your life. But think about this. There are going to be people in this world that have been favored all their life and never come to God. He said there are many called, few are chosen. Been favored by God their whole lives, but never accepted God. Called, but never answered. And the thing is, this is the truth. If you read the Bible, he's calling out to every last soul on this earth. But there's a difference between the called and the chosen. Think about it. And a lot of people don't like to hear this. God said in the New Testament, Jesus said in the New Testament, that I chose people from the beginning. Mm-hmm. I know who my children are. Mm-hmm. And I have more children that are going to come later. Mm-hmm. And some of y'all are those later children prophesied about by Jesus Christ. And you're going to come to acceptance of the Lord Jesus Christ. And he's going to call you out by name. Mm-hmm. But think back on your life. Think back on your life. Don't you feel like you got a purpose? Don't you feel like it's something out there that just ain't sitting right with you? I can't give a word without a testimony. Listen closely. I can't give a word without a testimony. I'm going to talk about myself for a second. But it's not selfish. It's to show you some things. You know, when I was in the military, I joined the Marine Corps. And I didn't fit in. I really didn't, man. I wasn't the best Marine. I didn't like PTing at all. I hated it. I hated running for no reason. You know, it's certain things I just didn't like. But one thing I didn't like when I was in the military was wrong. And I used to watch people get promoted and get a big head, and it bothered me. I ain't gonna lie to you people, I had a problem with authority. And it's like I said, that's before I became a Christian. I had a problem with authority. I hated to see somebody be done wrong, and I speak up about it. And I got in trouble for it so many times. You'll be surprised. Like in the Marine Corps, I wasn't one to say that fit in the Marine Corps. You know, I was like, man, this ain't really for me. I didn't really want to do it because I saw how people act with power. And I was quick to voice my opinion, to voice the truth to people. Well, I guess it wasn't meant me to stay in. I get kicked out of the military. I got an honorable discharge, but I go into that story another day because it's actually got a lot to do with my testimony, but it's just too much to cover right now. I'm trying to get you to understand something. Mm-hmm. It's something about you that you hate seeing wrong. You just hate seeing certain things. It's just, you feel like you gotta fight for it. All right, let's fast forward years later. One of the first jobs I got out of the military was a job working at that's actually like the second job. I got a job working at Fruit of the Loom, actually Russell Athletics. And I remember getting the job, and I was kind of mean and stuff like that, but I was always a team player. I think I learned to be a team player through the military. Y'all got to hear me out here. God is always prepping his chosen ones. He's always prepping you. Everything gonna work out to exactly what he wants you to do. Remember that. But anyway, I used to always see a lot of things that was going wrong. Some of our workers be at the lines, unloading boxes from the carousel. And then I see some of the workers just standing there, he in with the boss. And I had an issue with that. I was like, man, this ain't right. What's going on with this? You know, to me, it ain't nothing wrong with telling the truth. Hey, if you want us to work, they need to work too. I don't care how long they've been here. They still got they job as general laborers just like me. And I used to voice my opinion about it. It didn't matter. I voiced my opinion. Right? But I was angry with it. Like, I was just mad and trying to do it by my might, by my power. But guess what? Management took notice. I'm working on a line one day. They come to me, they're like, hey, Houston, we got a job for you as a lead man across the way. I've been working there for a year. And I get promoted. I get promoted. I didn't even ask for it. They said, sign up on the board. Sign up on the board. Just hear me out here, people. I'm not trying to be selfish. I'm trying to show you something. So I get promoted. I'm over some people now. I'm like, wow. And I remember people used to come to me and be like, how in the world, you only been here for a year and you get promoted? I'm like, it is what it is. You ought to see how many people were mad because I got promoted. But let me tell you something about pride. I was a prideful, boastful person at the time. I was. You know, I thought I was the doo-doo. I wanted to say the other word. But you know how y'all people are. Oh, you a Christian. Okay, anyway. So, I'm working there and I'm bumping heads again with management. It's certain things that just irk me. I'm like, man, this ain't right. You know, I remember this when I first learned how to be a authoritative figure. And like, people didn't take me serious. And I was the nice, happy guy at first. I was like, man, I thought everybody's just gonna do what you tell them to do. And then then I found out you gotta be hard on some people. I learned this there. Like, I remember I chewed one guy out so bad, and I hate that I did it. He started crying. I was like, Lord have mercy. But I kept telling him to do the same thing. And I remember one guy told me, he was like, you ain't my boss. I was like, all right. We'll see about that. And it's hard when you're in authority. Do you understand me, man? Y'all don't look at the things from a perspective. When you get put in a authoritative figure, people are gonna hate you and people are gonna despise you. And people are gonna be jealous of you. Same as a Christian, because you got authority too. But anyway, I just got tired of all that, man. I was like, man, all this fussing and fight, I'm getting to it with other lead men, other supervisors. I'm just getting to it. I was like, man, you know what? A job board posted up to be a driver, to drive a 26-footer truck from point A to point B. I was like, I'm signing up for that. I got the job. Wow, amazing. I'm like, God is just moving me, man. But I'm gonna tell you something, I was prideful. Listen to me. I was prideful and boastful. I thought it was me. Look at me. I'm the doo-doo. But I get the job. But I'm wanting to move up so fast, buddy. I want to move up so fast. Another job, they were like, we opened up another plant over here. We need a driver, a turret truck driver. It's like a forklift, but you sit down in, and it's real big. And I was like, I'm finna sign up for that. So I signed up, I get the job. Wow, amazing. I'm like, boy, I'm just moving up the chain so bad. I'm getting, my head getting swole big. So I get over there. And I'm doing pretty good. And I remember people would be like, hey, if you ain't got nothing to do, just start doing this. And I remember I used to do that. I'd be like, okay, I'm finished my work. I'm gonna go over here and do that. And then I get chewed out. What you doing over here? You were supposed to be over here. I'm like, what? So the type of person I was at the time, I'm going off on you. I'm like, hey, man, you know, I'm going off in a worldly way. I'm going off. And this happened multiple times. And I was just angry. Because I'm like, and I'm seeing people used to always come to me with their problems and ask me things. And I'm like, man, hey, give them advice. Or I stand up for somebody. And then when I stand up for them, everybody else like this, crickets in the background. Anyway, long story short, I let my mouth overload my behind one day. One of the people who was over me came to me and I blasted him because I was doing exactly what he told me to do. But it's like some people just don't like it. because of who you are. It is what it is, what you are destined to be. Anyway, I get fired. I get fired. I was like, man, I done built a life for myself. I done made a name for myself. And I get fired. And all hell broke loose after that. That led to me finding God. Now think about it, it's like Moses got fired trying to do the right thing. I got fired from trying to do the right thing. Guess who else probably gonna get fired for doing the right? Many other chosen people. Joseph basically got fired for doing the right thing. Trying to do the right thing. My brother ain't doing what they're supposed to do. Here come the dreamer. Now listen, watch this. I thought I had a lot of friends, right? Check this out. I thought I had a lot of friends. I remember I got fired and I found God during that time period. And God told me to go back to that boss and apologize. You think I'm lying? God said, go back up there and apologize to your boss. So I found God doing this. I started losing things, but I found God during this time period. He said, go back and apologize to him. I didn't even go back to get my job. I went back to apologize. And he was like, what's going on, Houston, man? Nice to see you. I'm like, man, I just came to say I'm sorry for the way I acted and what I did. It's weird how God make you do stuff like that, humble you. And I remember my boss was like, Houston, I told your friends that you can get your job back. They ain't tell you. I was like, nope, nobody told me nothing. I was like, wow, amazing how many haters you have. It upset me, and these people I went out with, I partied with, but when it came time for me to get rehired, it's crickets. Wow, amazing. The opposition you face. And all this happened after I found God. I can tell you story upon story in regards to these people. But that's exactly what happened. But look how everything worked together for those who believe. A few years later, I get a job working at a moving company. I got the 26-footer truck experience there. Guess what? I was a child of God. I got faced persecution there. Fired. Fired. Next thing you know, I'm going through a divorce. Next thing you know, I'm working for a moving company where I got to know how to drive a forklift and drive a 26-footer truck, which God has prepped me for in advance. All things work together for those who believe. Everything you're going through serves a purpose. And until you look at your life from that perspective, you might be missing a lot of things that God has been doing in your life since you were born. Because I tell people that story. I'm like, man, after I found God, I started connecting the dots. I'm like, now I'm at a moving company. Now, that's the crazy thing. When I was in the military, guess what I was? I was a network administrator. I worked on computers. I had some computer knowledge. I remember in school, I took typing. I don't know why I took typing. I said, I want to take typing. I want to learn some computer stuff. Guess where I work now? In the office. And is it over yet? No. But what I'm trying to tell you is, God is prepping you for whatever he wants you to do. He was prepping Moses. It was in Moses to come to God, to find that burning bush. But I don't want to get ahead of the story. It was in Moses from the beginning. He was favored from the beginning. And guess what? If you are chosen, you've been favored since you were born, before I knew you in the womb. And then I say but I'm just saying, before I formed in the womb, God fashioned us, each and every one of us. But like I said, the scary part is a lot of people just ain't gonna answer their call. Joseph answered, Abraham answered, Samson answered, Samuel answered, the apostles answered, Daniel answered. Okay, you'll see how many people answered and how many people didn't. Think about all the kings that got in play, that did evil in the sight of the Lord. Did you think they answered the Lord? Nope. They didn't answer. Some people answer the Lord and then fall away. So Solomon, anybody? Everybody talk about how rich Solomon was. But some people are going to answer and stay at it till they die. Because that's what they chose to do. You know. But I can give you so many messages out of whatever message God wants me to talk about today. But let's talk about abortion. Women, men, man up, woman up. If you laid down and you got somebody pregnant, or if you laid down and got pregnant, it's time for you to man up. You know, cowards don't take responsibility for their actions. You think abortion is empowering? That's cowardly. I still got my life to live. Well, guess what? You chose to be an adult when you open your legs. Do you understand? I can tell you a story on that too. I can tell you a story. You know what forced me to grow up? Having a child. Because I wanted to be a whore. I'm being real. You know what forced me to grow up? Having a child. God was like, okay, you're no longer a child anymore. You're a father. Okay. You see, some people are just the laws of the land, man. The law of the land said, you don't have to. It's not a baby. Yes, it is. God said, before I formed thee in the womb. So it's a baby before when it was thought of, it was a baby. That's scripture. Before you even before your mama and your daddy laid down together, God had a plan for you. He thought of you. He was like, okay, I got one coming for you. And he got a purpose. And look at the devil working at abortion clinics. Think about the doctors. And you know, some of these doctors claim themselves to be Christian. No, you ain't. You want the money. If you're a Christian, that wouldn't even be your standard of belief. If you were truly a Christian, like you say you are. You understand? If God want to take a child before it's born, we read on that. And the child was evil, and the Lord took it. Okay. The thing is, people are like, why would God do that and allow some evil people to be born? Because he's God. He might have been too evil. You understand? That you understand nothing? You say, everybody, we want to question God about everything. You know how many miscarriages happened in my life? Two. And I'm going to end with that story. I'm a Christian now. I done came to the faith and believing in God. I don't like to tell this story much. And I was so happy this baby was about to come. He was like 7 months like me, or 6 months. And I remember I was at work, and they called me, and my ex-wife at the time, they said, she's having complications. She's having complications. You know, I remember her family members and stuff putting word curses on her. Y'all think y'all can handle another baby? I'm thinking to myself, if God put it there, I guess we can. You understand? I ain't had no job at the time. I wasn't working at a steady job, and then I had just started working at a steady job. I'm staying with somebody else. But I remember I get that call. And I remember my ex-wife didn't want the child for a while. She didn't want it. She didn't want the child at all. And I'm like, man, I wanted it. His name was going to be Maxwell Roland Watts Beard. That was his name was going to be. I remember I get that call. I go to the hospital. She's in pain, and I'm sure the baby's in pain. And they're like, we're having complications. I'm like, man, I'm praying. I'm like, God, please do something. Please do something. Please help this. Help this situation. And I don't know what happened, but I don't know if it was God or whatever. But I was like, it's like I felt I had to make a decision. And I made a decision. I said, Lord, the child have never seen the sun. And I said, my kids need their mother. Take the child. I'm going to tell you some weird stuff about that story. I might be late today. All right. She's in pain. She's in pain. She's in pain. In the midnight hours, she woke up. She was in pain. She's finna start having the baby. It was going to be a stillbirth. I looked at the clock. The clock started spinning forward. It spent forward 24 hours. The nurse came in. I'm like, hey, nurse, what's up with this clock? Is it daylight saving time? But it's the thing. What clock you know starts spinning forward on its own? You think I'm lying? I'm telling you the truth. The clock sped forward like God spent time to bring that baby out. And he came out and he was stillborn. One of the worst moments of my life. But I saw God. It's like God came down and showed me it was him. This was me. This was my doing. You asked for it. This is what I'm going to do. You know, and think about it. My ex-wife is a pagan witch. She's a witch. But I was like, my kids need their mother. And I just had to make a decision. I think it was going to be both of them or one. That's a testimony story. You ain't got to believe me. I'm telling you, it's like the time moved forward. I'm talking about this one of them old school clocks that tick, 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 tick. The nurse looked like, what in the hell? I'm like, what in the hell? And then the baby comes, stillborn. You see, people, you don't have to do abortion. If God want to take the child, he'll take it. And he said, if you ask anything according to my will, I will do it. I guess it was his will for the baby to be taken and for the mother to live. And I'm so happy that my children still have their mother and their father in their life. And I'm happy that that child is resting. I don't know how it worked with infant children. They might go to heaven instant. I don't know, man. You know how I believe they rest in peace. But I don't know what happened that day. It's like somebody came down and got him. Got his soul. Got his soul. But it was a possibility that he was going to make it, but eventually it was just too much. You know, man, there's a lot of people out there that want children. At least have it to give it to somebody else. Or pray about it. But most people ain't Christian these days. They don't care. Oh, it ain't just a child. They're going to regret it. And the thing is, even if they find Jesus and repent, they're still going to regret it. They're still going to regret it. You know, and I think about myself. God made a choice for me to be born. I was born 6 months, 7 months. I was in the incubator for the rest of, until I remained 9 months. I was in whatever you call that little machine, intensive care as an infant. And I'm still here. I'm glad God kept me here. I'm glad God kept you here. You know what I'm saying? And guess what? You're going to have testimonies of your life. Just like Moses, just like Joseph. You know, Moses told his story to his children. Eventually why he did that. Then I'm sure, like, when he said, I got to go back to Egypt. What? Didn't you run from Egypt? God has a way of sending you back to places that you once left. Sometimes. But everybody's mission is different. Moses' mission was this way. Abraham's mission was this. Jacob's mission was that. Adam and Eve's mission was that. Cain and Abel had a mission. Everybody in the Bible had a mission. But ain't it scary to let's just know that some people just never step into their mission. But like I said, don't cry for the children that didn't make it to the world. Be happy for them. Be happy that they didn't have to deal with the pain and sorrow of this world. They didn't have to deal with none of this evil. And you know, if you look at things from that perspective, you wouldn't be so upset at women and men that encourage abortion. You wouldn't be as mad at that. God got them. Now it's time for us to pray for them and deliver them and let them see the error of their ways by praying for them. You know, and I'm gonna tell y'all something, one of the most powerful things for a Christian. First of all, the Holy Bible. Secondly, your testimony, which is your testament, how God has been using you. You know, ain't nothing worse to me when I hear a preacher talk and all they do is tell stories about everything else or somebody else's story. But when it comes to things they've been through, nothing. Right? What about, you ain't got no experiences or nothing? When I've run into preachers and teachers like that, it's like I automatically assume that they're false. Or maybe they're my spirit led. I done had so many spiritual encounters, I can't even count them. And that's the truth, people. But that's all I got for you today. We're going to continue talking about Moses tomorrow, if God wills it. Or I might even talk about it more this afternoon, if God wills it, whatever he wants. This is what God wanted me to talk about, and this is what God wanted me to start from. That's where I'm going to start from. People have a blessed day. Keep God first. And if you're chosen, God has a purpose for you. You're going to look at your life and see that everything's happening for a reason. Have a blessed day.